And here we are on the Dirty Pocket. We are back on a rough and tumble Tuesday.
That's right.
Myself and the scout, Daniel Kelly, are back at it. Wherever you may be listening or watching, all 5 of our viewers, we're still going to have fun and bring it off the edge. Welcome in, my friend. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I tell you what, it's been a crazy year, not unlike the NFL season, I might add. It's been a crazy year, but we got a few things to talk about this week.
We do. Is that a Baker Mayfield jersey, a Rams jersey I see on your wall?
Not quite, but we can certainly start there, as we've got a big subject we're going to talk about this week in some of the surrounding comments, I should say, surrounding the NFL draft by one Sean Payton. But hey, you know what? Before we get started on any of these, let's stick with tradition. What are we drinking tonight?
Well, here we go.
Oh.
Let's open it up.
Oh, I heard a snap, crackle, pop there.
Absolutely. Now, this is a little bit different, okay? And because this show is going to be a little bit different, right? We're going to be talking about a subject for most of the show that's really going to be outside the box. So I decided to get a soft drink tonight that's outside the box too. You know, when I go into the market or the grocery store, I try to find the absolute weirdest thing I can find to drink.
You do a good job of that, I might add.
Thank you. Just to get a smile on your face, okay? So tonight, we're going with watermelon. It's a watermelon soda that I got at the market down the street here in Key West. Really not even really a brand, I don't think.
I don't even know what to make of that. Watermelon soda something or other.
Now, you got to like the smile that kid's got on his face.
Looks happy.
Right?
He looks happy.
He almost looks as happy as Sean Payton does talking about the lottery draft. But yeah. But here we go. Ready? So here's the thing. So you want me to do my my advertisement?
Well, of course. Let's stick with tradition. Give it to us.
Okay, sounds good. Here we go. Hold on. Okay, Arsenio Hall. When there's a former NFL head coach that has kind of an idea that's outside the box, maybe a little fruity. Who knows? Reach for a watermelon soda.
Okay.
This message furnished by the National Football League. Yeah, no, let's taste it. Let's see. It says it tastes like
give us the taste test before.
Remember that time I had that flaming Doritos?
Who could forget? High ratings on that episode. I think people were just looking to see if you would crap your pants after drinking that.
That's good. That's like watermelon pure sugar. That's a bedtime treat.
Super good for your bloodstream, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Super good for your bloodstream.
Absolutely.
I'm sticking with the excitement of Zevia, the sugar-free,
I tell you what,
natural sugar root beer.
I tell you what, you drive Zevia stock. You know what I mean? Because every single show, you must have cases of that in your garage or something.
I try to keep 3 cases on hand, chilled.
I told
in the refrigerator.
I told you. Yeah.
Got to keep it chilled. That's right. Absolutely. That's right. Well, hey, before we launch into the fun stuff, I think it is only appropriate that we give a toast to Mike Leach.
Absolutely.
And a fantastic coach, a fantastic personality, and just a guy that, despite some controversies, which comes with coaching, gone too soon. And to Coach Leach, everybody out there in the Mississippi State program, and God, man, what a loss. What a loss.
Absolutely. And I raised my can of watermelon soda tonight to you, Coach Leach, an innovator, one hell of a coach, as I wrote on Twitter today. And somebody who Key West was very near and dear to his heart, where I reside. And Coach Leach, actually, at one point when he was a young man, it said in an article once I read that his dream was to coach Key West High School, their football program.
Wow.
And he's a legend around these parts in Key West, Florida. And I was really, truly hoping one day that I could run into him and buy him a beer down at Sloppy Joe's, which is a famous establishment down here in Key West. And really, truly a tremendous loss to the football community. But more than that, Just a really cool guy, and with a really good sense of humor from everything I've read, and a real innovator. And he's a guy that will be very, very missed, and a great reminder to all of us that tomorrow's not promised.
Yeah, it's a great, well said, Scout.
Thank you.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Air raid offense.
Tremendous respect for him. Tremendous respect I have for him.
Yeah, change the game. So
yeah,
our hearts.
Good call. Good call. Classy move, Stacy, for sure.
Yeah, well, it's time. We got to cover the really important stuff first before we get into rolling around in laughter. But yeah, Coach Leach, you will be missed, and love and respect to his family and all those who are impacted by that tonight.
Absolutely. I'm going to be the first to say it. I really, truly hope they have a beautiful new facility down here in Key West, Florida. The Key West baseball team is usually number one in the state. There's a lot of major league prospects to come through here. The football program, not as highly touted, but they have a beautiful new complex in the football field. And I'm going to say it, I would love to see that football field named after Coach Leach. I think that'd be a tremendous tribute to him and to the, to what he's done in the game of football.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, switching gears from that situation, we salute you. Let's talk briefly before we get into the meat of our subject in our little 30-minute dirty pocket this week.
Mm-hmm.
Look, by sheer coincidence, and in this case, it honestly is sheer coincidence, we're going to talk about the world champion Los Angeles Rams. There has been zero to talk about all year except me hiding my face. But this Baker Mayfield thing, I mean, that is the most fun I've actually had in the football season, not just because it's the Rams, but because it was insane. It was absolutely insane. What do you make of this, Scout? Baker Mayfield coming out of Oklahoma, the Cleveland Browns situation, just almost disappearing in Carolina. Has Baker Mayfield got a future? And what do you make of that just unbelievable 2 minutes he put up the other night?
Well, I go back to my co-general manager, who I want to have sitting next to me in the NFL team, and that's my wife, Samantha. I actually put her in my proposal in 2017 to be my co-GM of the Cleveland Browns when I was in contact with Mr. Haslam, when he ran me a handwritten letter and asked me for my ideas. She was in there, which would have put her as the first female in that position in the National Football League. And I'll never forget what she said. Is that, she doesn't know as much about football as me. I'm not sure if many people in the world do.
Wow.
Absolutely.
There's some Twitter fodder for you out there, folks.
I mean, you are looking live at the 49ers quarterback whisperer. We'll get into that later. But I know more than anybody in the 49ers building about quarterbacks. That's documented. But when I look at Baker Mayfield, and I go back to my wife Samantha here for a moment, is when she first saw Baker Mayfield, she was super impressed. And she usually can pick these great players out of a lineup, okay? I mean, she doesn't know who they are. She points and says that one, or she just has kind of a sense for this stuff, okay? And I remember her saying good things and making remarks about Baker Mayfield. And she had actually predicted at one point that when Baker left Cleveland, she could see him sliding over to New England with Bill Belichick. That's how highly she thought of him. And to me, I haven't bought a Baker Mayfield jersey. And so, I mean, it's some, he kind of struck me, impressed me as well. And of course, they started out great in Cleveland, better than they'd been in a long time. And of course, then things go south. He ends up at Carolina. And of course, that Carolina situation was a disaster. Now he surfaces with the Rams. I think that Baker Mayfield does have a future in the National Football League. I think he has a future with the Rams. I don't think this is a one-off situation. It's all about fit. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Sean McVay had an affinity for Baker Mayfield when he came out, and all of a sudden he fell right into his lap off waivers, and all is right with the world. Sometimes it just takes these quarterbacks a little bit longer to develop. I'm seeing that more and more. The NFL has become an extremely complex game times two. It takes a lot of these quarterbacks some time to develop. Teams don't have the patience. They send them on their way. And then a few years later, they turned into something a la Rich Gannon, like he did back in the day for when he became we became league MVP, rather, when he was 39 years old. I think Baker's got a future. I say all that to say that, I guess. What do you think? I mean, you're the Rams guy. I mean, you're the resident expert on the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, you've seen it all from Vince Ferragamo to what was it? Chris
Dieter
Everett,
Brock, Jeff Kemp,
Chris Everett.
Oh, Jim would not appreciate that. Everett would not appreciate that.
He and I had a little back and forth on Twitter at one point.
Oh,
I'm playing though. I love Jim, and but I was just playing because that whole thing back in the day. Was it Jim Rome?
Oh yeah, who could forget?
But I mean, all these different quarterbacks, you've seen them all. I mean, what do you think? I mean, let's give you some airtime. I mean, you saw him come in. What are your thoughts?
I like him. I've always liked him. I liked him way before. I can't even believe he's a Ram. I'm still like kind of reeling from that. Like, really? I liked him in college. I like my quarterbacks to be a little bit cocky. I like him to be scrappy, kind of a gunslinger. I like people to underestimate them. I've always liked Baker Mayfield. I liked him at Oklahoma. I liked him with the Browns. I thought the Browns absolutely jobbed him. I thought it was an absolutely raw deal he got in Cleveland. Carolina is almost like I don't know that. I mean, the coach gets Matt Rule gets canned, then you got an interim coach. I'm not going to put too much into that. I'm excited. Like, I like Baker Mayfield. I think under McVay and with the right coaching, because I mean, you know this better than anybody, Scout. Coaching matters.
It does.
It just matters. And we've seen more than one talented quarterback get drafted early in the draft to go to an absolute turd of a team and just disappear off the radar after having a great college career. It's because they ended up on a bad coaching staff or in a bad franchise. Look at the Texans. Look at the stuff the Lions have been through, from Joey Harrington to,
There's a name.
Yeah, it's just these guys get drafted in here and they're gone. And then you look at the guys that have had tremendous success, like a Joe Montana in the later rounds, Tom Brady, maybe you've heard of him, later rounds. They just get on a little bit better team, better coaching staff, kablam, they're Hall of Famers. I'm not saying Baker's going to be a Hall of Famer necessarily, but I like it. He's young. He was the first pick in the draft. He's talented. He's scrappy. He's a scrapper, a gunslinger. I'm excited, man. I say keep him. Most people say he'll be gone at the end of the year because Stafford will come back. I think Baker should hang around. I think you should pay to be in a good organization, good coaching staff. Stick around.
I agree. You make a great observation there, Stacey. With some of these guys going into later rounds or ending up on a good coaching staff or in a seasoned or experienced coaching staff. I mean, case in point, let's look at Brock Purdy for just a quick, 15 seconds. I mean, look at that situation. Mr. Irrelevant.
That's pretty timely.
San Francisco, right? And look at him now. I think Baker's got a strong future. I would like to see it be with the Rams. And I think he's definitely got some more football left in him. And like I said, sometimes it takes, I mean, you're talking to a guy that, you remember. I mean, Doug Williams, you could go all the way back to him, even before that probably even. But Doug Williams comes in, first-round pick, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, makes it to the NFC Championship game at 79. Things fall apart. He ends up all the NFL. Next thing you know, he's playing the USFL. Next thing you know, all of a sudden he ends up back in the NFL with Joe Gibbs with the Redskins at the time. And look what happened to Doug Williams, Super Bowl 22 MVP. I'm sure we can go with other examples too, where guys bounce around a little bit and all of a sudden they find themselves a home and they go from there. I mean, look at Steve Young. I mean, he started out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Most fans would never remember that. All they remember is being with the San Francisco 49ers. But there you go. There's another example of it, and there's more too if time would allow.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great point. So yeah, I wanted to get your take on that. I think Baker's. That's just the most fun I've had all season. Yeah, I'm sure part
that's saying something. That's saying something. That really
been a weird year.
Something. That's saying something. Yeah, you look for guys that can move the meter. That's as an aspiring general manager myself in the NFL. You look for the guys who can move the meter, and obviously Baker Mayfield came into the Rams organization and has moved their meter.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. I say stick around. Welcome to LA, Baker. Stick around, enjoy this coaching staff and a franchise that goes after the Lombardi every season, no matter what it takes.
Well, didn't you think that, was it you that said that you think that maybe I'm not trying to put words in your mouth here, but about Stafford? Didn't I hear something about he might retire or something?
Yeah, I mean, the rumors are swirling. With it, with this spinal contusion, his wife has one of these little podcast things, and she's constantly railing against him being hurt. Her concern for his injuries. He's got 4 daughters. He won a Super Bowl. Would it shock me? No. Do I think he does it right now? Nah, I don't think he goes out this way. Maybe another year. But again, Baker Mayfield has an opportunity. He's still young. Stick around. Learn the offense. Sit behind Stafford without pressure and then take over.
Well, her name is Kelly Stafford, I believe, right?
I believe.
That's what I'm getting in my earpiece right now.
Oh yeah. From the truck out front?
From the truck out front that's unmanned. That's unmanned, right? Okay. Kelly Stafford. When Kelly Stafford talks, I suggest you listen because I'm serious, because Kelly Stafford was really the person who orchestrated that trade from Detroit to the Rams to begin with, in my opinion. Because, do you remember the controversy she caused in Michigan?
Yep.
When the whole pandemic was going on, and she started making all those kinds of comments and all the kind of controversy started swirling around. She wanted to get out of the snow, and she wanted to get into the warmth in Los Angeles. Now she wants to get her husband out of the game. Pay close attention to this, and I definitely think Baker Mayfield should stick around for that reason alone, because Kelly Stafford is spoken.
Yep, there you go. When Mama talks, people listen. Keep the
not in every
happy.
Situation. Not in every situation.
Not in every one.
Not in Tampa. But
valid point. Valid point.
Not in Tampa, but in Los Angeles. What a hot
mess that is. What a hot mess.
But in Los Angeles, we got to listen.
I want to save our last 10 minutes for this draft talk, but real quick, 1 minute. Scout Kelly, we saw it. It happened this weekend. Deshaun Watson, after basically 2 seasons out of the game, comes back. I know you've had an opportunity to probably watch him or consider his play right there. What did you see? Give it to us in 1 minute.
Hey, he's shaking off the rust. He made a couple throws there that I saw on Twitter. I didn't get a chance to see the game, but I saw a couple throws that there's probably one guy in the NFL who can make those throws, and that's him. I think he's started to shake the rust off. Yeah, he doesn't have the touchdown passes yet, all that, but hey, my NFL QB1 he's coming back, and he's going to be coming back strong here. I'm a firm believer of that.
It's interesting. Browns are another one of those teams where the defense has underperformed. And then I got to tell you, tip my hat to Jacoby Brissett. He kept them above water as best he could.
Great job by Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, he's got a job in the league. Yeah,
Great job.
For sure.
Yeah. There's some guys, there's a few guys really quickly, bro, 20 seconds. There's a few guys that everybody kind of left for dead that said stick a fork in them, that all of a sudden have some really bright futures in the NFL. Maybe Baker Mayfield's one of them. Geno Smith, maybe another one, right?
He's been a story of the season. Yeah.
Hey, his market value is at $36.4 million per year estimated this time of the offseason. Daniel Jones, right? We talked about him on the Dirty Pocket. Maybe you get Taylor Heineke. Okay, there's a few guys out there that have kind of really solidified themselves, and Jacoby Brissett is definitely one of those guys as well.
And then since we're in the backfield, as we typically are here in the Dirty Pocket, how tough is Mike White? How tough is he?
Tough
How
as
tough
nails.
is he, Jets Nation?
Tough as nails. Tough as nails. I had a chance to interview George Fant today, which will be article will be coming out tomorrow.
Phenomenal.
For SI Jets. And of course, George played some college football with Mike White. And he kind of told a funny story or two. I would give a little teaser what it was like to play 2-on-2 basketball against Mike White in college. But he said, he's a tough guy, tough as nails, basically. And that's coming from his offensive lineman. And there's some wicked shots he took in that game. He bounced back. And this is why I've been pushing for Mike White and SI Jets since November 14, 2021, when I said Mike White proves that Zach Wilson is a bust because of the toughness, the swag, the moxie, the leadership. It's all there with Mike White. And as I talked about my SI article last Sunday, he is an unrestricted free agent here at year end, and the Jets are going to have to either pay up or I don't know what's going to happen out there because, like I said, Geno Smith is estimated at 36.4 per season. Taylor Heineke is expected to be at SpotTrack.com at 19.6 million. The guys are telling me per year in my headphone, and you got to believe Mike White's going to be somewhere in between the two, because he has definitely proven to be a real find, and he won't be settling for the 2.4 next year that they kind of snuck underhanded to him this past offseason.
I tell you what, he's been impressive. So has Brock Purdy. We could talk for hours. I want to
Brock,
dive into this.
No, it's Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. That's right.
Like in my rap song. Go ahead.
All of this really, really looking interesting in San Francisco. Going to be another interesting offseason for the second year in a row. We'll get to that next week. But we got to talk about this thing with Sean Payton. Sean Payton comes out and says, look, I think this kid at USC is going to change the game in the NFL, almost as if he knows something the rest of us don't. He wants to talk about NFL draft lottery like the NBA does. Where are you on this? I am not in favor of this thing. I'm just going to say it right now. I've seen it backfire in the NBA. It does make it more interesting. It's interesting TV the night they pull the ping pong balls. But I don't know. I mean, the NFL's got plenty of parity. What do you think, Scout? I mean, do you think, A, is Sean Payton knows something that the rest of us don't, and this could happen? And B, what is the impact on the draft at that point? How does that change the game? Sean
Payton is like a wild card in a deck of cards at this point. He's like I'm not saying he is a joker, but it's kind of like that joker card. It's kind of like, okay, what are we getting here? Okay. When Sean Payton talks, much like Kelly Stafford, we got to listen in. We have to really turn up our volumes a little bit. Okay. Why? I read a couple interesting articles off air before we came on tonight. And the one in CBS, which is kind of an interesting piece, talked about how Sean Payton was in the competition committee from 2017 to 2021. This isn't a guy that's just dropping hot takes. This is a guy who's been in the room, okay, and kind of knows what's going on. One thing is for absolute sure, Roger Goodell is a marketing genius, and they've learned how to turn this NFL game into a year-round must-see TV, and they're driving the ratings and the revenue, okay? This is going to drum up more excitement. It's going to drum up a lot of things. You brought up an interesting point, almost like Sean Payton knows something the rest of us don't know. You made that comment, Stacey, just a moment ago, circling back to that for a moment. And I was told by somebody who I was having a telephone conversation with this week from the North Pole. I was told that.
Wow. Long distance.
Long distance, right? Reach out and touch someone like the old Southwestern Bell thing. But no, I'm just joking. It's almost Christmas. That's why I said the North Pole. But check this out, okay? It's like with Kyler Murray, right? In Cliff Kingsbury out in Arizona. Did you know they have the same agent? Did I say that out loud?
Wow. Isn't that interesting?
And all of a sudden they all got paid. I don't know. That must be just,
what a disaster.
I just work here. Okay. And now Sean Payton, there's no question he's positioning for his next head coaching job. Okay. And everything he does is much like his mentor, Bill Parcells, is very strategic. How do I know that I work there? Okay. It's very interesting. He comes up with this. He's talking about Caleb Williams being this generational guy at USC. He's afraid that teams are going to start tanking. He illustrated a couple points of teams that he thought tanked, one being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they got Winston. There's other sightings, other possibilities of teams tanking for a player. He thinks that more teams will just flat out tank or try to for Caleb Williams. I don't think that you change an entire draft system because of one player. I think he's trying to get them to change something because he is going to be where Caleb Williams ends up. That's what I think is happening here. But I don't know how that would be possible in a lottery system. The interesting thing about what Sean Payton said, if you read the Sports Illustrated piece on it, is 2 times he very directly pointed to, because of the NFL's gambling, the gaming piece of it. Did you see that at all?
I did.
Yeah, he's talking about the gaming piece to it. I'm like, there's something really weird going on here. It's all I can say at this point. There's something, it's all kind of ties together, but I can't put the dots together quite yet. I don't know why he wanted to drive that point home so hard. And I just don't know, but I'm not in favor of it. I think the NFL is pretty cool from a standpoint that it's set up to be the balance, the competitive balance that exists in the NFL, with the worst teams picking first and all the way through. I think that's important. I think that if you start allowing winning teams to have ping pongs in there and stuff, it gets really out of whack, I think.
I couldn't agree more.
And this is not the NBA. This is not, it's not the Major League Baseball or anything. This is the NFL. And I just don't think it's in the best interest of the game when it comes to the Paul Tagliabue's vision that before Roger Goodell, the commissioner was Paul Tagliabue. In 1989, Paul Tagliabue said, no more dynasties. Any team can win a given Sunday. The NFL's had this vision for parity for some time, where everybody could win on any given Sunday. And I think this way they have this with the salary cap, for example, and the way they have this thing set up with the draft order and with the best team picking last in that, I don't think that can be tampered with. I don't think that can be screwed with. And, it's an interesting thing. It keeps Sean Payton, it keeps him in the forefront in the headlines, and that's what he wants right now. But I don't know, where there's smoke, there's fire. I know that much. But Roger Goodell seemed to kind of like poo-poo it when they asked him in the article. He didn't really give too much play to it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on this thing. Look, it isn't broken, don't fix it. The NFL draft isn't outside of the Super Bowl. It's like the event of the year for NFL nerds.
That's
and there's
me.
So much, me too. And there's so much parity in the NFL. I mean, look at this year. The Rams are out of it. The Bucs look to be out of it. The Niners are rising through a bunch of injuries. Got to be impressed. The Broncos are out of it. All of a sudden, you're talking about teams like the Jets, and you're talking about the Eagles and the Giants, and the Commanders are playing good football. It's wild. I mean, this is the NFL. Why would you go and initiate a program like that? And got to be honest with you, has the NBA gotten more popular or less popular? Less. I mean, it's all about two teams are in it every year. They all super team it with LeBron James. Why would we ever want to bring what the NBA is doing to the NFL? I think it's a terrible idea. And I agree with you. I think it's an interesting angle for Sean Payton to come out and say that in the press on a year when he's coming back to the game. And Caleb Williams might be, I think you should be wherever I am. I don't get Sean Payton. If I'm Sean Payton, I am openly trying to get the Chargers job. Openly. Like Justin Herbert is absolutely incredible. And and while I love Brandon Staley, he's not an offensive coach. I mean, there's some good young quarterbacks. Sean Payton should want to come in and develop one of them. Don't get it.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre thing. And, I'll say this as an NFL draft analyst, for SI and also for First Round Mock, my draft site, I haven't seen Caleb Williams play on film. I haven't studied him. I've seen bits and pieces here and there. There's just too many guys and not enough time. But I'll tell you what, right now, I'm not impressed at all with his attitude and demeanor. And he comes right out and says, hey, anything Patrick – I understand confidence, but anything Patrick Mahomes can do, I can do. He's saying these things. He paints his fingernails for the games.
Yeah, I didn't dig that move either. I don't know if I'm just old guy now or what, but I'm like, I want my quarterback to be a little –
and it's kind of interesting because they got spanked by him after he painted his nails like that. But and I'm a style guy. I'm a fashion guy. Hey, I mean, my hat matches my lips and my neck. I mean, I'm I'm all for that, but I'm just not really digging Caleb Williams' whole thing. And I don't know. It's just I haven't seen him.
He's a heck of a player.
He's a heck of a player. Yes, he's a heck of a player. But to change an entire draft, the way that the NFL's done business,
ridiculous
because of one guy. I mean, let's back up a little bit, because if we've learned anything through these past few drafts, the NFL, A rookie quarterback is not usually the savior of a franchise, as we can see, is what I'm trying to say. It's just
Yeah.
I don't see it at all. This is really carbonated, by the way.
Well, that's a good place to stop. The pocket has gotten dirty, and we are up against it time-wise. Great subject, great download. This has been a season that has just had tremendous storylines. Any parting shots this week as you look into your crystal ball of this weekend's games?
Hold on, man. Let me take a look at the crystal
he's
ball.
He's got to rinse his mouth with watermelon carbo first.
Not in terms of this weekend's games per se, but I will piggyback off something we were just talking about, and I dropped this bombshell. I struck, you know how the matches you strike on the side of the box, before they light,
Oh yeah.
I did a little of that today on Twitter. We're talking about don't be surprised if Robert Saleh is on the hot seat.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
And don't be surprised.
His defense looks good, though.
Don't be surprised, Jets fans, if Sean Payton might be in the mix.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Head
good
coach, New York
young
Jets.
skill. Oh, good young skill players there for Sean Payton to.
Listen, here's the deal. Somebody, I don't know who it's going to be, somebody's going to take the fall for that Zach Wilson fiasco. Whether it's Joe Douglas, whether it's Robert Saleh, or they pass the buck off to Mike LaFleur, somebody is going to be held accountable for the Zach Wilson debacle because Zach Wilson is gone from New York. We won't see him. We won't see him again. He's gone. They're going to trade him. And, maybe just a perfect situation. Maybe Joe Douglas survives because of his draft picks. He did draft well. Maybe he survives for another year. Maybe, he gives up some power, and maybe Sean Payton steps in, and it's New York, and that's where his mentor, Bill Parcells, used to coach.
All right. Early predictions from the scout. Much to say on that. We'll be watching that as it develops in the dirty pocket. Any parting shots from me? I just think it's been an odd season. It's really interesting to see the teams that are out of it. I think Tom Brady has hit the wall. Yes, I said it. He does not have a good team around him. And once again, just a toast to Coach Leach as we close out this week. And I sense you have one more thing to say.
Definitely. Cheers to Coach Leach. But absolutely, Stacey, when you talk about an odd season and your guy who you do the show with is holding up a can of soda that looks like this, it is odd.
It's definitely odd.
It's that type of year. Last year was unpredictability. What was our theme last year? This year, it's just odd.
There you go. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us on the Dirty Pocket, wherever you may watch, listen, including Twitch and YouTube. We will see you next week. In the meantime, be well and navigate the pocket. We'll see you next week.
That's right. Coming in hot.